They cut it into 16,611 pieces. Hi, I'm George the Antique Nomad. Come with me as I wander the country in search of valuable vintage, amazing antiques, and cool collectibles. We'll buy, sell, and trade at antique malls, shops, and shows, estate sales, flea markets, thrift stores, anywhere people go to find really interesting things that just aren't made anymore. So come on, let's go! Hello everybody, it's George the Antique Nomad and welcome to What's Sold on eBay. This is for the bonus video that we put out at the end of June, and we wanted to follow up and tell you how the items that we put on eBay did. We do a bonus video once a month for our members on the level 2 and level 3 basis, where they get first access to see 20 interesting items that we are putting on eBay and listing as they watch. And that goes out a little bit later to everybody, and that way you can follow along and see how these items actually do in the marketplace. We like to go back and talk about how they did and what sold, what didn't sell, why we think that happened, and how things went. So let's take a look at last month's sales and see how we did. The first item is this really cool looking wild backyard bird, carved vintage 1990 bluebird. It comes on its roost here. I'm going to go ahead and click this so that you can see. Wild Backyard Birds here is the name. We have been trying to get some more scholarship on this outfit because they made really nice stuff. The quality is really good and the prices seem to be all over the place. In this case, we had 22 bids and it went for $30.02. I've seen them go as high as $45 to $65. I just think they're really nicely made, and there's some artists involved, but we do not have good scholarship yet. There were a lot of wooden things made by studios in the late 80s and into the 90s that are just now starting to come to the market and get their due. In fact, in July video, we have a very interesting example of a wooden sculpture that is an artist piece that's painted as well. So we're going to keep bringing interesting wooden pieces from that era to you, but if you find any scholarship on these companies, we would really like to know. As time goes on, we think certain artists and certain makers are going to be the ones people look for. So, if you have more information, please let us know. In the meantime, we were very pleased that it had such an active bid rate and that it sold. This is interesting here. This was a small, obscure company out of Louisville, a small record pressing shop that did a very limited series of these for President Kennedy's Fatal Ride. They had someone who was known as a honky-tonk pianist playing background music for this. You can see that actually on the record itself. And it talks about who the makers were, who the producers were. It was an interesting piece. It doesn't come up very often. It went for $15. I wasn't really sure what to expect. I think that's pretty good for what it is. I find that the political records, it seems like $10 to $15 seems to be a pretty typical selling rate. As far as the unusualness of this, well, obscure 45s by small labels can go for really big money, but more typically if they're musically related. So I was pretty satisfied with what we got for that. Another interesting oddball piece. Now here we have the Beatles photo, signed John Rowlands, After 4 Limited. This was an edition print of 2,500 were signed. You can see the numbering there, and you can see the photographer's name in the lower corner. He had a really interesting history. He was a big fan of Brenda Lee, and he got his dad to let him take her camera to the concert, and he took pictures, and he met her backstage, and she really was impressed by the picture that he took and bought it from him for $35. And next thing he knew, there were musicians coming to town being referred to him as a photographer. All of this was happening while he was still just a teenager. And he went on to have an illustrious career and photographed most of the major rock stars of his era. He's an elderly fellow in Canada now, and actually they're selling more of these as fundraisers. I figured it would go for $100 to $150. It got the one bid. It didn't go any farther than that. I'm happy that the person got something that they really liked. I certainly was hopeful that this would actually rise above the initial bid, but it did sell. And so we are happy that it came to a new place. This was interesting because this baseball is signed not just by George Brett, but as we go down here, you'll see also by Brett Saberhagen. So you have two of the big folks who were instrumental in the Kansas City Royals becoming world champions in the 1980s. I figured it's baseball season, this would be good timing for this. Had this had a certificate of authenticity, it probably would have gone for twice or three times as much, but it costs money to get COAs and it takes time, so there's always a question over what the best way to go with these are. I was satisfied with the $60 it got. I certainly would have been happy for it to get more, but again, you would have had to have done some extra work for that. Certificates of authenticity really make a big deal to a lot of these sports related collectors, and it's partly just because it's the standard in the field. It does certainly help prevent fakes and forgeries, but anybody who compared this with the many George Brett signed baseballs would know that this was real. So I think that it's really a question of your personal taste as to whether you, as a sports collector, need to have a COA or not, but it certainly does make a difference in the marketplace in terms of what you'll get for the items. Now, this, on the other hand, sold for substantially more than these typically sell for, and I think it was the timing. This is the very cute little tin for Tansy and pennyroyal pills, and pennyroyal and Tansy were used as something to increase blood flow and also to interrupt pregnancy back in the Victorian era. And I think that because this is rather timely right now, with the conversations people are having in society here in the United States, that's the reason it went for as much as it did, and it went for $41, which was a very, very good price on 12 bids, so very active bidding on that one. This I was really pleased with. It got 7 bids. It's the Lenox Romeo and Juliet porcelain bisque pitcher, and the design is by Laszlo Ispanki, who was a Hungarian refugee who ended up being hired by Boleslav Sebas and then by the Lenox Company and others to make porcelain bisque. He was quite a good artist. He is no longer with us. I think $45 is a good price to get for one of these now. I think in the long run that they will go for more, but I was very pleased in this day and age to get the price that we did for it. And then this piece. This is a very pretty piece. It went for just under $85, as well it should have. This is Pairpoint Limoges. The Pairpoint company that made the puffies had this Limoges work done for them around the same time. Puffies were these big, beautiful shades that had these very elaborate Art Nouveau-inspired shapes, and you see that in this vase as well. I was very pleased because the market for Limoges isn't what it used to be, and so I got this for a very reasonable price. But I was also pleased because it is a really neat piece with a very important pedigree, with the Pairpoint company being involved. So it was nice to see that there's starting to be a customer for these sorts of things again. This one went for $85 plus shipping, and I thought that was a very fine result. Now this, I mentioned that there were a whole lot of camera things that I got out of an estate a few years ago, and I'm getting down to the lenses now, and I wanted to point these out because some zoom lenses are worth money. Some are worth even more than this. This one went for $39 on one bid. That's right in the range of where it should have sold. 30 to 35 to 45 was my estimate. It was in good shape, and it had everything it needed, so I was happy to see that it went. It actually sold rather at the last minute because the shipping was high because of the weight and the fact that I was sending from the West Coast. So I wasn't sure it was going to sell, but at the last minute somebody sprung for it, and it went. This set, frankly, did much better than they usually do, and it's partly because it was a little fancier design from the 1950s with the gold textured box surround that you see there. But also, it just seemed that people are really interested in evening in Paris again. It was very collectible in the 1980s because of the cobalt perfume bottles. This one is the talc and eau de toilette set, and it did rather well. 7 bids, $38. That was probably $10 more than I was expecting, so I was very happy with that result. This next piece went on 3 bids for $42. This is Valerie Stahl, and I have to say my picture makes it look crooked, so frankly I'm probably lucky that I got what I got for it. And what I got for it was perfectly fair and right in line with what I was expecting for it. Valerie Stahl's blue opaline, this color is a very, very popular French art glass from the mid-20th century, or actually early 20th century. And it went for $42 on 3 bids. I was very pleased with that. That's right where it should have gone, and very happy that it found a new home and sold for the right price. This also sold for a good price. Over $30 for a piece of Abingdon pottery like this is a pretty good price to receive, and this one went for $31 on 12 bids. I think this really sweet creamy yellow was a popular color for people, and I just always liked the design. Abingdon, of course, was made from the same sort of ceramic that your bathtub and your sink were made from, and the glazes were just as heavy as that too, because they were in fact a sanitary bath and tile company before and after they made the vases. The vases and the housewares were really only done for about a 20-year period. Little Green Sprout sold right away, buy it now on the first bid, and went for the $25 that he's definitely worth. He played right away when I bought him, and that made me very happy, so I showed a picture of the battery so people could see that it was all good. Just a cute guy. I was really pleased with the condition. I was pleased that somebody paid the full retail price right away on the first bid, and it made it easy, and away it went. This little set, this also went buy it now for $40 for the pair, and I thought that was a very fair price for these. They're really cute. They're knotters. They were found in a hoard in eastern Kentucky in a box sitting on the floor. How they didn't get stepped on or destroyed in there, I don't know, but they were meant to live on and be with a new collector, which they are now, so they were rescued from a really, really dire situation and now have a nice home, so that made me very happy. This set is painted in the gold, and the painting is very good. They are marked clearly Germany on the back. You can see the little heads turn. So they were very sweet. $40 is a very fair price for these. They maybe could have gone for $45 to $50 with a little bit of luck, but a lot of these same sets have been selling for $30 and $35. So I was pleased with the $40 and willing to take the bid as a buy it now. This piece made me really happy. This was one of the first things to sell. It sold, buy it now, for $59. $59 was the price I picked because I have seen these all over the place. I've seen these for as little as $10 and $20. I've seen them for as much as $100, and I picked a price in between that I thought was a realistic price that would sell this piece. I did not pay much for this piece, but I have had it a very long time now. This one does have a certificate of authenticity, showing that this is part of the original court of the summit. They cut it into 16,611 pieces because that's how many seats there had been in the summit, so they figured that everyone who had been there as a season ticket holder had an option to get one of these. There is the signature. The summit has actually been repurposed into a mega church, so it does still exist. It just no longer hosts basketball championships. I thought that this was something that somebody from Houston would probably really enjoy, and it went right away. And it shows their back-to-back world championships in basketball. So I thought this would be a hit with someone. This is a good example of the type of thing you should sell on eBay. I had taken this to several shows in different parts of the country over the years and never got around to putting it online. And obviously, you need to get this piece to Houston, to where the fans are, and that's the reason that it finally sold. So, very happy with the results of that. Happy with the results overall. Selling 15 out of 20 items in the summer on eBay I think is pretty good, especially given that I had some neat stuff, some fun stuff. I didn't have a lot of really amazing stuff this time. I was heading to antique shows, so a lot of that stock was already dedicated to that. I will show you the 5 things that didn't sell and talk about them too. Did not sell the Bybee pottery pitcher. I really do like this piece. I'm very fond of Bybee pottery. They were made in a part of Kentucky near Berea that is a big craft and pottery center now. And so I was very hyped up on Bybee pottery when I found this piece. I put it out there. You know, it's something that certain marks, the Cornelison's pottery seems like it's a little more sought after. I got a piece of that about the same time, and I've got 3 people who are interested in that. This also was a later piece in this color, probably about 35 or 40 years old. Bybee was in business 200 years, so the serious collectors want the really, really old stuff, and this just wasn't it. But I'll put this out for sale at my mall space in Kentucky, and it will probably not last a month there. This is Curtis Jere, and you'll have to take a look at the original picture if you want a clearer photo, but this is the church overlooking the harbor. It's a fairly famous scene. I was asking 150. That's pretty much the range that these tend to sell in, and I was a little surprised because Jere is so popular now. I thought it might just sell right away. I ended up putting this, after it didn't sell, into my mall space in Seattle at Epic Antiques, right in the same spot where I sold a similar piece a couple of months ago for $300. So I do think it will find a buyer. It just didn't happen to hit a buyer in the days that it was on eBay. And again, part of the reason for this may be that this was a large item that would be a little bit more difficult to ship, and I was shipping from Seattle, and that definitely has more of an impact these days because shipping expenses can be really great from the coasts. This I thought was just such a great graphic and so ahead of its time, and I thought that it might just sell. These do sell fairly frequently. I think I only had $15 on this. We just didn't get that person. It is not theater season, so it may just be that it wasn't on people's minds in the middle of summer. So we ran into a little trouble with this because the shipping on this was saying it was going to be $96. And that is because I made the mistake of letting it be open to people picking their own shipping, so they were picking Parcel Select. Parcel Select is not reasonable for certain things. This is a large item. It's a stiff piece, this Mickey Disney showcase from Steamboat Willie. It's a neat piece. I had inquiries. I had people who were interested, but they saw the shipping and freaked out, and I don't blame them. And so they sent me messages, and I said, no, we can do it UPS. But I wasn't able to, even though I changed the listing, it didn't seem like it was in time to save this because the initial people who were really interested in it already had in their head that it was going to be prohibitive to ship. So I think that's why I lost out on the sale there. So it's out for sale at a mall space. Sometimes larger items are easier to sell directly to people who come in the door as opposed to online, especially with shipping costs being what they are right now. And finally, this one, the Baccarat tennis player, I was very surprised that this didn't sell. I had a very inexpensive starting price on it, and it can go for a lot of money. And the picture was much better than what you're seeing on your screen. It's been enlarged and blown up, so it's lost a lot of its clarity. But that's just the way it goes. You know, you can't always guess when something is going to sell. I think if I put this piece back on in a month, it would probably sell for the price that I was asking in the first place. So you just have to take your chances. And again, because we're doing this at auction, we are seeing what's happening in the immediate market, and the immediate market wasn't ready for this piece. But it should sell between 75 and 150 when it does sell. That is the wrap up for the what sold on eBay for this last month. I am excited to let our members know and non-members that we are getting very close to our July bonus video. So if you are not a member yet, please do check out the memberships. Click the join button if you see that, and it will tell you all about it. Or go to the link in the description about memberships. You'll see some other different levels and different perks. It does definitely support the channel, so we appreciate all of our members. And we appreciate all of you who take the time to watch this and learn along with us as we experiment with eBay and other different ways of selling. I'm George the Antique Nomad. Please check me out on the social media and links you see in the description below. And we'll see you again from somewhere interesting in the world of antiques and vintage very soon. Bye for now. Thanks for joining me again in the fun and fascinating antique community, here where online meets the real world. Please click the subscribe button below, click the bell to be notified when new videos upload, leave a comment below, and hit thumbs up to like this video. Links to our online social media and our items for sale are in the description. This is George at the Antique Nomad. Bye for now.